I was put in a position. I had a lot going on at the time. My parents were unwell. I was supporting my brother at the time. Life is not fair. You have to accept where you are in position, and just get through it.
Welcome everyone back for another Words of Rizdom podcast. We're back, part 2, with the infamous Riz. I don't know what to say because we're both called. But the feedback on the last episode with Riz was absolutely incredible. I think it's the most watched video so far, and for good reasons. Amazing energy, amazing person. So thankful for you to be back already. I know we only filmed a couple of weeks back, and I know we just experienced an amazing podcast before with Tans. We still have Tans and we have Joe in the room at the moment, and we were literally just saying it's so rare to come across people such as yourself, Tans, Joe, with similar morals, mindsets, and it's incredible. Obviously we're trying to jump straight into it because people will know you by now, but after hearing obviously the podcast with Tans, what are your thoughts? Because actually you had come across his videos and stuff.
Thank you for having me again. Tans, I've seen his videos before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just something that we were talking about. We all have our own lives behind our screens. We don't really talk about it, and we try to bottle things up. Own personal family, everybody has their own lives. How I see it as well is, for example, if you see somebody on the street, everybody's fighting their own battles.
Yeah.
And that's just how, anyone I meet as well, I say, just be kind. There's no reason not to be nice to somebody, you meet on the street, or, because you don't know what they're going through. One kind gesture could mean so much for them. And yeah, so it's just that, talking with these guys as well, that, we put in so much, time and dedication to our work that sometimes we forget what we're going through in our own personal lives and try to cover these things. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm very I feel very heightened emotionally right now.
Me
honestly.
too, honestly. The energy in the room, just hearing the stories.
It's very rare to get that feeling nowadays.
But it's also very nice in the aspect that we can share and relate to each other. And, I think that way, that connection bonds even more.
Yeah.
Because, especially men, we don't really talk about mental health or,
struggles.
Yeah, we don't, we have our friends. We have, you might speak to somebody really close to you. For me, my brothers are my everything, honestly.
Yeah.
I speak with them about everything and anything.
I love that.
Sometimes I may not even be able to speak with my parents. Whereas my brothers, they know everything about my life, literally. And if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be where I am now, because they've supported me through times where it was difficult and tough. And just having these kind of people around you means so much. If you don't, I'm blessed to have brothers, and I have 2 older sisters as well that I'm really close to as well. But just having people close to you that you can speak about things. It's so important. You have your wife, you can speak about everything and share. And some people might not have somebody very close to them. But yeah, and just generally men coming together and just speaking about
struggles, man.
Their struggle,
the hardship.
Exactly, the hardship. And because nothing in life comes easy.
Yeah.
Nothing comes easy. And
anything that comes easy goes quickly.
Yeah, and you kind of realize as well, what you were speaking about earlier as well, this work and what world we're living in, what is there more to life than just working, paying bills? And you realize there's so much more important things, everything else. Yes, it's nice, and I would never say that money, you don't need money or don't work hard.
Yeah.
Because it can make so much things easier. If you're struggling with things, for example, if Tans, he didn't have the money or thing, couldn't pay for his funeral, for his family's funerals. So these kind of things, I will never say that money will make life easier.
It's that balance, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's that understanding that money can bring the access and the comfortability and is necessary in the society we live in.
100%.
But it's understanding that that is not the goal,
Yeah.
you know, and only through experiencing things such as those sort of events, and also being able to, like you said, like having people to speak to who have gone through those events, to reinforce certain principles, to learn from their journeys and hardships. You know, the only way that's done is through speaking, you know, because the crazy thing is, like, someone could feel darkness and depressed, and it's beneficial for them to speak, right? But it's so beneficial for the person listening to it too, because they're now understanding what sort of darkness there is in the world, what sort of hardships there are, where that can take you. And, you know, if that person didn't speak and that person didn't listen, like with things like this, is what's so profound about podcasts, is that we're putting ourselves in these situations. And we could easily sit here and chit chat and try and market ourselves as amazing men and the best ever. But why do that when that's not reality? You know, we are good men, we are good people, but we don't need to sit here and pretend like everything is great. Everything's amazing every single day, and every day is a rainbow. Every day is a blessing, and we do enjoy our moments. We have our hardships, you know, in life. I think in general, we will all have our moments, our dark times, our tests.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if we're not tested, you know, if we're not pushed into adversity, who are we really? You know, the adversity and the hardships is the true test of people, you know, and a test of your character and your moral code, and is necessary. And no matter how that shows up in life, in things that definitely we would deem unfair, and it naturally is unfair.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah,
You know, I think that's what grows you as a character.
yeah,
Going through hardships, going through difficult times, that's basically defined who you are today.
mm-hmm.
If you didn't go through X, Y, Z, or
Yeah.
like, you wouldn't be where you are today. That's how I see it.
Definitely. And I know you touched on it a moment ago before we started filming. I'm not sure if it's something you did want to share on the podcast or not, but you know, you've had adversity come at you in different forms. How have you handled that? Whether you want to go into detail on that, that's up to you, but regardless, like, how did it feel in the moment, and how have you managed to still push forward and continue to go on, even in the face of that adversity?
Now, I think in the moment it's very difficult, because in the moment you might think like everything is against you, the world is coming down onto you, it's crushing. But if you don't forget the true reason why you're here, or like for me, I think it's my family, my parents. I've seen my mom struggle, bringing us up, so through our childhood.
I remember you mentioned last podcast
how she has brought us up,
Mm-hmm.
the sacrifices she went through. Like, I could never give her that pain,
Mm-hmm.
or so for me it's always been the main reason has been family. And from a very young age, I think I was 19, the responsibilities fell onto you. And so in the moment it feels very difficult. It feels like there's no hope, or there's nothing.
The weight of the world on your shoulders.
It's like, it feels like everything is coming down on you at one time. You know, they say like when it rains it pours.
Yes.
So like it feels like everything is coming against you. But like I truly think that, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
If you just try to get by each day, and work on from that. So, you know, just, you know, get through this week, whatever you're going through, and just try to fight it out. Like, I think there's you can come back from a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You can bounce back. There's been times I've been down to my last £100, and so there's always a way out, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And
would you say it's a conscious choice to go on though? Because I'm sure there are moments where you felt like, I can't do this, and you know, I don't want to do this. Why is it me?
Yeah.
But what would you say it was that allowed you to overcome those thoughts and actually do the opposite, where you actually strive, looking for solutions over the problems.
I think sometimes it's very easy to try to think, I just want to give up, like, this is not something for me. Even relating it back to trading, there's been, honestly, I can count number of times where I thought, I'm giving up now. That's it. I don't want to continue with this. I don't think this is for me. It's better maybe I'll do something else. Well, yeah. So I think everybody relates. When you come to the other side, you kind of you see that you can relate in that aspect. But yeah, in the moment, I think it's difficult. But you just kind of have to fight through. And I think it's just within me. It's always been. I'm not somebody who gives up easily. Like, honestly, like,
you're the fighter.
I honestly think, like, life can be very testing, and that's how you grow as a person. That's how you, like, once you pass out the other side, once you jump through that onto the other side, things can be good. Like, you have to always look forward, always look at the long-term picture. So, for example, how I see it, like, if you have, for example, like a bad phase in time, like, life is never going to be on one level. It's like a wave, you have your ups and downs.
Yep. So it's oscillating.
Yeah, so I say, like, fight through the down times, and, on the ups, like, just be humble, just enjoy life.
Just understand there's something coming as well.
Just enjoy the moment, and, take life as it comes.
It's this universal law they talk about, the law of polarity, which is understanding balance. For every positive reaction, there's an equal and opposite negative reaction. So as you said, like, at the lows, believe in better days. The better days are on. The light at the end of the tunnel is coming.
Of course.
When you're at that light, when you're on the top of the hill on the mountain, enjoy the view, but understand that the lows will also be there around the corner. And normally they come in those cycles. And the most important thing, I think, is trying to be balanced in those moments. As you say, being humble or just understanding that it's not going to be this feeling forever.
Nothing lasts forever.
And it's actually the oscillations, the opposites, that allows us to appreciate each side. It's the down moments that makes the good moments feel good. It's the good moments that makes the down moments, make us almost not enjoy those down moments because we felt good before. Yeah. And it's understanding that polarity, those polar opposites, are necessary for life, just like night and day. 100%. If it was only nighttime all the time, we wouldn't appreciate day, and plus we wouldn't even know what day is. Right? Exactly. But by having those two opposites, we learn to appreciate both the benefits and negatives of either one.
You have to experience the negatives in order to appreciate the positives.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's hard to do in the moment, for sure. It's not like it comes naturally, but I think it's. 100%. Would you say it's more trying to be aware of it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, just understanding. Okay, look, this is a phase in life you're going through, a difficult path of life, and that nothing lasts. Like, even these times, this too shall pass.
Yes.
Like, it will pass eventually.
I like that.
And just go through it, whatever you're going through, keep fighting. There's a saying as well, if you're in hell, just keep fighting. Like, keep going. Like,
can't get much worse.
You
I remember there's a song lyric by this guy, his name's Dino or something. And it's literally the only lyric that stands out to me from his songs or anything. But basically he says the bottom is where the start is. So, like, that's where you start, the bottom. Everyone, that's, you have to start from the bottom. Where else are you going to start? And it's really, like, profound, because it's like, it's so true. Where do you expect to start? You're only going to start at the top, right? And that's probably where a lot of people's mindsets are wrong. They want to start easy ground. That's not where it works. Like, you start in hell. You start in the trenches. That's the only way you're ever going to build up and appreciate everything that you do and have longevity. That's why you see these people who win the lottery, for example, there's no trenches involved. There's no hardship involved. So that's why it ends up being gone.
They don't appreciate it.
Exactly.
Similar thing as if somebody who does come from money. For example, like, for them, it's a very normal thing. Buying this, buying that. Like, it's natural. Like, they don't know that you have to go through this kind of thing to get this, for example. But yeah.
Would you say that hardship and that adversity you had to go through, and maybe even still go through, would you say that was a driving force and a strong why to allow you to be successful in what you've been successful in? So trading, the personal shopping at the time, Was that a big driving force that helped you? Not motivation. I don't think motivation's the right word, but focus, drive, determination.
I think it's like when you're put into the deep end, you have to swim through. You don't have
Sink
a choice.
or swim, yeah.
You don't have a choice. So it's very, very similar in my aspect, where I was put in a position. I had a lot going on at the time. My parents were unwell. I was supporting my brother at the time, his studies, and it was just this is a situation. You have to accept it. Life is not fair. Like there's no I cannot like blame the world.
Yes.
I can't blame the world for it. Not everybody has it easy. You have to accept where you are in position, and just get through it. So definitely, I think going through that time, it's just going through it.
Yeah, and it's just understand. I think, is it focusing on knowing that you can't control what's already happened?
Exactly.
But what you can control is your actions.
100%.
And in terms of trading, would it be a case where, could easily your mindset could have been, I need to progress in trading, I need to make money, and therefore, I'm going to go, and then you end up gambling, you end up doing some madness. Was it that you actually decided, I'm going to take this seriously, I'm going to take this as a business because I want to, and I need, also a need, but I want to create this success out of this, and the only way I'm going to do that is by doing it seriously?
Exactly.
Yeah.
100% I agree in that aspect. Is when you're put in a situation, for me it was everything or nothing.
Yes.
So, like, even though I did go to university, I did go to university and I had that kind of backup, but for me it was like I want, like, in order to where I want to be, and support my family in a way I want to,
of course, and need to.
Exactly, and need to. I have to do more, and so that kind of was the driving force behind why I kept going. It was like I can't give up. I don't really have anything else I want to fall back to. I don't want to, as much as I would never downplay, a 9-to-5 job or whatever. I think I had a few questions as well regarding that.
Yeah.
Like my view on working and trading alongside other businesses. I think there's nothing wrong with it, and it's always in this space kind of downplayed.
Oh yeah.
But I think
I think trading at its best, like in terms of efficiency, is when it's treated as a hobby rather than this has to be my full-time job. This has to be everything that I do all the time. I think that normally leads to there's a lot of negative traits, and a lot of, when you're just so hyper-focused 24/7, just purely trading, you can probably lose your mind in it.
100%.
Probably what's happened to ICT.
He's
probably lost his mind a bit.
I've seen that. But I agree completely. Like, good trading is boring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like, when you're in front of your computer, you want to be most effective as possible, and you cannot come to your 100% performance over if you're watching a chart 24 hours, 5 days a week, 7 days a week.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
That's
like,
what I think,
if you have to imagine, like, for example, Usain Bolt, he will sprint for that 10 seconds. Like, it's intense but effective.
Yeah,
like you cannot go on that intensity for a long period of time. It's just not possible.
And that intensity is necessary to be a consistent trader in fleeting moments. It's a great analogy, a fantastic analogy, actually. Never thought of that one. This is why you're Riz. Yeah, have you ever heard the term unspoken Riz or something? As in, like, there's apparently this term, I think it's American really, like, where they say this guy has Riz, meaning like he has suave or like, like energy or something about him. I never heard of it. I love it.
As well. Like, this is the first time I'm hearing it.
I like it though. I like it, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, one thing I want to just revert back to is in university, because a lot of people have that struggle.
Yeah.
They have a struggle of university and trading same time.
Yeah.
How did you manage and maintain that?
Okay. So yeah, it's very similar to, I had a question that I put out people for this part, basically, question, and one of them came up was how do I balance university with trading? Or what's my, like, how would I advise somebody who's going through university at the moment but wants to go into the trading field? For me, it was first finishing my university, so that was my first focus. Finish my university, and it's the same advice I would give to anybody else as well. It is like, the markets are not going anywhere, but whilst you're at university, the extra time you have, put that towards studying, because those hours are going to add up. They're going to accelerate your journey afterwards. So I would definitely, so while I know I went for university, I know how much extra time you were given. So over the period of years, your hours in class reduce. For example, third year, fourth year, you hardly any lectures. You have a lot of extra time. And similar to what my brother is going through right now, he's in second year university now, and I have told him that I want you to finish your degree, and once you have once you have your bachelor, then we can start working together. Then I'm gonna like train him up, complete, and go from there. So I would definitely say, first of all, focus on your studies, whatever you're doing, college, school. Even though you're...
Because you're doing it,
yeah,
you might as well do it to the best of your ability, yeah.
And also, I'd say depending on the course as well. So if it's a course that is somewhat serious, I would say, and that has demand. So I wouldn't say like go into university and study art, for example. No offense to anyone, but you know,
I get you there.
on the business aspect, you're paying £9,000 a year. So whatever course you do decide to go on to do something that will at least hold value. So because you're gonna have to pay that those fees back.
Exactly, yeah. You're gonna have this debt to your name.
Yeah,
it's very true though. But I've got some questions as well.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of like obviously using the spare time, to your advantage. So the usual psychology and the what we observe from uni students is their spare time is spent partying, spare time is spent have chilling and having fun. So rather than doing that, deciding in my spare time I'm going to study and better myself in other areas.
Exactly.
So is that exactly what you did to be able to transition after uni?
Exactly.
And have already a strong foundation knowledge-wise to then be able to push forward. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So like, for example, somebody's going for university and they're already stacking up their hours. Yeah. Even if you're doing an hour a day, or on the weekend you're spending 2-3 hours. Like once you've finished university, you've already kind of got some experience. Yeah. And then once you complete university, you can give yourself 6 months, 12 months, whatever, and just completely smash it out.
Exactly. And then by having that degree as well, and literally what we just talked about on Tanz's podcast as well, is you have a better financial footing in terms of job availability that can fund your trading, that can take the edge off your trading, and again allowing you to treat your trading like a hobby is probably one of the best mindsets to have.
And we live in a world right now, like post-COVID, there's so many remote jobs out there, and I know people who are like students or people that are studying that want to get into trading, and I'm a complete advocate for this as well, that work that job, but on your spare time, study until you can kind of transition from your job until you're starting to make now money with trading, where you can completely transition. So work the job, and it will take pressure off of I have to make money to survive. So at least with the job you can cover your bills and everything's fine. And once your trading is at a level where you can now 1-to-1 transition over, then to take that full-time trading step.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, they think like, oh, full-time trading means...
I think there's a very dangerous, in one element, dangerous thing that's going on at the moment, where there's a big hype around, cheap lifestyle over in Thailand and Bali and that. So, I don't need to be making thousands upon thousands to be full-time now. All I need to make is maybe $500-$600 a month, and I can live decent lifestyle out there. So a lot of people are trying to flock out there. There are a few traders I know who are out there, and they're full-time traders. I'm not saying it's like them, but I think there is definitely a mindset right now where they're trying to rush a process to become full-time. They're thinking, hey, if I move there, costs are way lower, and I can be full-time trader instantly, like rapidly. And I think that's a very dangerous mindset that is definitely I'm seeing as a more regular at the moment, maybe due to COVID, maybe due to people opening their eyes to the cost of living out in these places. It's definitely, like you said, a process you want to do properly, take your time with. I think there's so much of a need of rushing that people want. I want to be full-time now, but that's just not how things work ever. Any business or any sort of entrepreneurial journey, it's not like that. It's never like Uber, like Airbnb, like Netflix. It didn't just go bang.
From one day to the next day.
It was literally, they had to get crowdfunding. They had to go through so many struggles. They probably nearly failed a bunch of times as well. and then eventually, the trenches as we talked about, and then getting to that point.
Yeah. How I would like to imagine that is the bamboo tree. You know about that?
Yes,
you know about that?
Yeah.
So basically, the bamboo tree, you can water it for 4 years every single day.
Nothing happens.
It doesn't grow.
Yeah.
On the 5th year, it can grow up to 80 feet.
Yeah.
And but
if you don't take care of it in that 4 years, you won't get that growth.
So you have to water it every single day, and you see no results.
Yeah.
And then come year 5, you could be the biggest thing.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with trading. There's a lot of people I know personally as well, and on the community, on the Twitter community, that they've year 1 loss, year 2 loss, year 3 break even, year 4 have not made nothing, and then year 5 they've made 6 figures in the last 6 months.
Yeah. That's what I always say. Like, the losses you make in trading in your journey, you'll get paid back with interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When the time is right. So like, I had lost 40-50k before I became consistent, and when I find that consistency in my first month, I'd made 30-40k.
Yeah.
So already in 3.5 years, 3.5 years, in 1 month, then
it's paid off.
Exactly. And it's not like I didn't force that, you're not trying to hunt that down, but it's just the compounding of, like you said, doing that work, being in the dirt, not really seeing any light, having to still maintain the routines, do the work, turn up, etc. To then the reward comes at the end. But it's that patience, it's that mindset. If you're not willing to do that, and even then in those moments, like you mentioned, like, questioning yourself, questioning that am I going to be, is this for me? Yeah. Do I want to be a trader? Am I good enough to be a trader? They're natural thoughts, but loads of people want to deny that. They want to be like, my mindset was the strongest. I always knew. Yeah. But the reality is, you're going to have those moments. And if you don't, then I think that would probably be a bit wild. I can understand if you're, if you're really adamant. But I know a lot of people are super adamant about being traders, but then definitely they haven't done anything in terms of foundational work to really back that idea up. It's crazy. One thing you touched on there about the Twitter community, that was one question I did get, which is, what is it about Twitter you prefer over Instagram, for example?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So basically, my Instagram is very personal, I would say, whereas now it's growing with traders as well.
Yeah.
But for me, what I've seen is Instagram is just pictures, or stories, and whereas Twitter, you can read through people's minds.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see how somebody's talking or talking their mind.
It's more personality driven.
Exactly. And I think it's more real.
Yeah.
And there's so many good traders I'm following on Twitter. And the community, we've kind of like, there's back and forth.
You build the circle.
Yeah,
you build a network.
Like the circle right now and the people I'm following, and likewise, is Twitter is very real. You see through the bullshit, I would say.
I think so, yeah.
Whereas on Instagram, you can market things and picture things away, and there's a lot of
twist narrative.
Yeah, it's very manipulative.
Yeah,
I would say no hate towards anyone on Instagram, or there's genuine traders on Instagram as well.
Yeah,
but for me, I just for me, and how I started my Twitter as well, it was just I want to journal my journey and my trades, and that has helped me as on my own growth, is looking back to where I was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 2 years ago. I've published ideas on TradingView 3 years ago on 29. I was just looking on my TradingView account.
Yeah, you get to see that growth.
Yeah, and seeing
reflect
where you have come from, like over time, because it's a very good online journal. And what I see as well is as working individuals in an online world, that is kind of your CV.
Yeah.
It's
your CV, and it's also essentially your legacy in a way.
How others see and seeing your growth. And I get so many messages that they're inspired by the growth, or they're inspired by the journey. And like somebody messaged me the other day, I'm going through a down phase, but just looking at what's possible.
Yes.
Like I don't claim to be like the best or whatever, but I try to be as real as possible, even on Twitter. And also, I was very alone in the journey. Yeah. So now I can share ideas about the markets, or and somebody else can relate as well. Like for example, there's been a bad week in the markets. Was it me, or was it the markets, or the market conditions? And no, the Twitter community, I think, is great, honestly. And yeah, you should come.
I'm coming, man. I'm coming. I swear.
Share your knowledge.
I've noticed it. When I saw you there, and I looked at your Twitter feed, and I started to really reflect on it, and I realized, and I said to Joe as well, I said, Joe, bro, jump on Twitter, because I think, and then Marco, one of my main guys who I'll tell you about as well later, he's jumping on Twitter now too, because I was literally like, as you said, perfect example is like Twitter's real in that sense, like someone's having to put their actual thoughts into words, right? You can put some pictures there, of course, but it's mainly the words. It's mainly the essence of a character that you're going to see. And yes, people could probably fake some bullshit too, but it's probably a lot easier to see over time, because trying to maintain your words correctly is not as easy as it is to maintain, say, pictures and videos on Insta. And I've noticed it, even though I'm big on Insta. Well, I say big, but like I've been focused on Insta for so long. I think it's just because that was like the first social media I really went on, and I kind of just got attached to it. But I'm definitely seeing that, it's so toxic on Insta. It's so much, as you say, it's just really pretty much 90% marketing on Insta. There are some real people there for sure. 100%. But Twitter, I think, is definitely a more healthy environment to be in. And therefore, I really appreciate it.
As long as you stay in your own lane, focus on yourself. That's how I try to keep it, like, even with me.
It's like natural. You're not forcing anything. Like, people will gravitate towards you.
Yeah, my growth on Twitter has been very organic.
Yes.
I had like a burner Twitter account from like 2012, 2013 that I used to follow other traders and thingy. But I started this in February and just started journaling.
February this year?
Yeah, I just started just putting out my ideas of the markets, my charts, and people recognize and I think see. And,
authenticity.
Yeah, exactly. And why I share my charts, for example, on Twitter and annotate is there's people that have gone and printed out these charts and kind of reverse engineered and they're like, bro, I've just become funded, or like I hit this trade, or
so again, that legacy, man. You're being able to journal, leave your story, if you will, that you can then reflect on. But an added bonus of doing that is that other people are going to grow. That's why I try and use. Like, I've had people try and be like, you're trying to be an influencer, you're trying to do this, and it doesn't get to me because I know what I'm trying to do. This is another thing I want to touch on, what you mentioned, of like, you just want to be real as possible, and I do the same, and that's why I feel untouchable in the sense that I don't care what people say, because as long as I know that I'm being me. So the same person me and you are talking right now is the same person when these cameras are off. The same person who puts the quotes on Insta or the tweets on Twitter is the same person in real life. While majority of people, unfortunately, especially on Instagram, but generally on social media, are fake. They're portraying a character, they're acting. And therefore, if you meet that person in real life, it's a different person. And those people are sour. Those people are scared of that real person being let out, and they shouldn't be. I don't have anything against those people. I think those people should just reflect and be real, be themselves, because that's why, again, I feel untouchable in the sense that I will speak my truth. I will be myself, and that's all I'm doing it for. Is that me journaling my own thoughts, me journaling, lessons to myself essentially that I reflect back on, and then if people can gain benefit from it, amazing byproduct, adding to their legacy. But otherwise, I'm not bothered.
Honestly, it's the best thing, and I've seen like my influence on other traders and their growth, and for me that is everything. Honestly, like if I can put out something and somebody sees and implements that into their own kind of journey, and that's my job kind of done. Like if even one single person has taken value from one post or something that I've shared online, that alone is enough. That's it.
Definitely, man. That's all it is, one person at a time, because you never know that one person that you might impact, right? And then, that person goes on to impact 1 billion people, just as an example. Exactly. But that was a byproduct, a part of you, a part of your legacy. I got one question here.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So how do you handle friends or family not believing in you? First, if you had any. Okay. Like I said, I would imagine probably not family for you, maybe, but friends, maybe. But obviously you would know. You know your story and stuff. Did you ever have anything like that?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't really say. I would still say I'm still very early in my journey. Like, I'm still growing. I'm still. I'm not. I don't think I am somebody or I am someone, but But if you do look at it from an outside perspective,
Of course,
I can see that.
Why people would assume that, yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. Like, I already have a very close circle of friends that has been since the last 5, 6, 7 years. I can like count them literally on my hands, and all of them have been very, very supportive to me. They have known my journey, what I've gone through, family-wise, everything, and the support has been there. Of course, you also get people that you can sense it. You can sense it that they do not like it. Or
that was the thing. So there was one.
Like
the next question was, how do you handle negative energy or jealousy from when you do successful or see progress or growth? Have you experienced that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I have not really. I mean, there must be behind the screens, or you can kind of like
not to your face.
Yeah, not to your face. Like, everybody's nice to your face, but you can see who is supporting you and who's real with you.
Yeah.
And for me, honestly, that like somebody who has supported me through the hard times.
Yep.
I will never ever forget them. Honestly.
Of course.
Like for me, I have some very, very close friends and very close family as well, and they always, bro, I rate you, bro, you inspire me, I've seen what you've done, and just having those kind of people around you. I think it's, if you have close people to you, like that negative jealousy can't come, like you won't get affected by it.
Blocks out.
Yeah, it blocks out.
And,
so as long as you're surrounded by genuine people, genuine love, genuine support.
I think it's almost like a shield.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a shield in two ways. One, obviously, of the negative energy trying to come towards you, but also it's a humbling thing to keep you grounded as well, so that you don't believe into your own growth or hype or build that, allow the ego to take over, because you have people who have seen you struggle, reminding you of, hey man, you've inspired me, because of your struggles, reminding you of those struggles, keeping you grounded. So I think it's very powerful, and I'm glad that you haven't had to experience maybe full on. One thing I will ask though, when these situations have happened, these adversity moments, because I had it in my life where when my dad passed away, we had all the the culture, the family members wanted my mum to get remarried straight away. They wanted her to go on to benefits because she shouldn't work because she's a woman. She needs to look after the kids. We had people, family members, close family members, try and take my dad's shops and take his success for themselves. We had people threatening my mum and trying to scare her, family members, so essentially back then we cut them all off. And we don't, even to this day, I don't speak to any of these people. I don't know some of their names. I don't know nothing, which is fine for me. In terms of like other Asian households, though, I hear a lot of these similar scenarios taking place, and yet, they don't, the choice hasn't been to cut people off just because of, again, can be culture, which is fine. In my essence, I think it was for the best. But did you have to experience anything similar in terms of friends or family trying to take advantage of your downfall or your hard times, if that makes sense?
I think what you're speaking about is very general in the Asian community, and toxic. It can be very toxic.
Yes.
And I understand, when somebody is down, and I know that from a very good friend of mine as well, where, everything was well, people want to come to you.
Yes.
And a few years of downtime, no one's asking you anymore. And he's like, bro, I know you have been there through the ups and the downs, and I can completely trust you with everything.
Yes.
Whereas there has been people where they've just kind of used you in your time of up. Yeah. And when you're down, nobody looks at you.
That's it.
And I think it's just, it's the same thing. Like, you cut off the negativity, cut off the bad people, and just try to stay real as possible.
I think that's one of the benefits of these situations, though. You know how I like to say there's most things are balanced, even the hardest of times, even the hardest of situations, no matter how dire they are. And in the moment, definitely, they can feel like the end of the world. There's no benefit that could ever be possible from this. But stuff like that, for example, that small little thing where it can show you...
It shows the true colours of people.
Exactly, show you the true colours of those who are right next to you, the ones smiling in your face.
Exactly.
And then it gives you a chance to distance.
And how I see it is, so recently, like if somebody has, for example, brought up something because of like a small amount of money, And for me, that isn't enough reason, like, you know, to cut off somebody because now they're trying to fight over this friendship over a small amount of money or something, like, you know.
I've seen it.
I've seen that as well myself. And how I see it is that I'm grateful that you have shown me your side.
Yes.
For this little amount. Like, honestly, I got rid of you for like £100. For me, you can keep that. Honestly, like, for me, it's not about the money.
It's from it's a
gangster movie.
Yeah, Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale, exactly.
Yeah.
They say somebody owes you £1,000. Forget about it. You got rid of that person for £1,000. Like, later in life, that could have been £100,000 business and me as well. And I think everybody goes through that. And I think it's best that you see those kind of people early on in life. Get rid of them, cut them off, and then, you know, you just kind of create your circle in a way where you can trust somebody.
Yeah, I think it's understanding its quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And we hear it a lot, but I definitely know that I went through a phase, and I don't know if it's being a guy or just generally as human beings or being an Asian guy. I don't know what it is, but it could be any of those things. But I know that I definitely had this phase where I was trying to I needed loads of people, and I wanted everyone to grow, and that was like a mindset. And it took me a while to learn.
Yeah, not everybody's on your journey. Not everybody
I think the biggest thing was just focusing on me, rather than all these people and trying to do it as a team or whatever. 100%. Focus on you, and then the right people will just be there. You know,
you can pick and choose.
Exactly, and the positive and the positive of going through that though was that because I had amassed a bunch of people that I'd met, there are now to this day the one gem. The one person, you know, like with the book, there's that one gem in a book. It was the same principle, like all these people, all these different energies, different backgrounds. There's one gem from each social group, each group of people that I did associate with. There's one gem who then is part of that circle now, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of, you know, doing that. And then obviously having the awareness to sort of have that tunnel vision. I definitely think so. I think it's a very powerful thing, and I think it's been a very big testament to your journey by the sounds of it.
And I have seen people that I do not know for like a long period of time, but they have grown so close to me, and that
I ain't gonna lie to you, I feel that like in this room now, and
like
me and you as well.
It's real. Like there's genuinely like somebody I met in a gym, at my gym, not long ago, a year ago maybe, and now we're so close, and you know, like you meet people for I think a specific reason, and sometimes, you know,
then you don't force it.
Yeah,
it's just
it's
natural.
Exactly, it comes natural, and sometimes it's just, you know, somebody, you know, for a short period of time, but they have a bigger impact than somebody you've known for a longer period of time.
It's very powerful, man. Honestly, it's very true. That's all the questions I had. I don't know if you had any more.
Yeah, there was a couple. I mean, how are we doing for time?
We're all right. Let's do another 5 minutes. We
5
can
minutes.
bust it out. Yeah.
Let me pick somebody that.
You got loads.
Honestly, I mean, I quickly run through two. I think two that would ask more, or like some of the stuff that I come up more. It's one dealing with losses and losing streaks. I think you can explain that quite well as well. But for my own self, I would say, and even with Twitter, like I will post our trades, and some of them will hit losses. Okay, there's no 100% win rate. There's no 100% in anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So how I would say with dealing with losses is looking at the next 100 trades.
Yeah.
Okay, like this one trade is not going to define your whole trading journey. You cannot let one, but as long as it's a managed loss.
Yeah.
It's not like you're blowing completely out. Managed risk, but loss or a streak of loss, or like you can have, how I see it is might have a bad day, but you can have a good week overall.
You can have a bad week.
You can have a
good month.
Exactly.
Good bad month. Good quarter.
Exactly. Good quarter. Bad quarter. Good year.
Yeah.
So long term. Think long term. Think of the next 100 trades.
Yeah.
And play.
Look at these major companies worth billions, where they actually lose billions worth of stock value in a quarter, and then at the end of the year they're at all-time highs. Imagine if they gave into that quarter and then they just started panicking.
Exactly. Like one bad quarter is not going to define your life.
I have two things for you for this though. Okay. A couple of things, but one of them is the way I like to look at it is that at the end of the day, you're not trying to be a trader to trade for 1 year, for 6 months, or even 5 years. Right. You're essentially trying to be a trader, so you trade essentially for the rest of your life. In one essence, you might not do it for the rest of your life, but you're thinking long term. So in that, let's say you have 1,000 trades. Right, you said 100. That's a perfect example as well. But let's say you had 1,000 or 5,000 trades in your lifetime. You don't think you're going to have 11 in a row that that lose out of 5,000 trades. That's going to happen.
It's a numbers
statistically,
game.
yeah.
It's a numbers game.
Exactly.
Yeah, play the numbers.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, though, it's just as long as you're disciplined and stick to your risk management, that losing streak won't matter.
Yeah.
I think a large part of it, the stress, comes from majority of people obviously just wanting funded accounts, not even thinking about personal.
Yeah. See, this is another thing. What I see a lot is everybody is rushing for that short-term goal to getting funded.
Yeah.
Whereas if you focus on becoming a professional trader, play the long-term game, play the 3 to 5 year game. Like for me, getting funded was the first step. Like for me, I have goals for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And I know where I need to be for the next 5 years, like what I need to get there. And for me, this funding is just the beginning. It's only the start. Like like for me, I'm very early on my career. For the next 3 to 5 years, I want to have my own fund. I want to private investors, 7, 8, 9 figure AUMs. Like, you know, everyone starts somewhere small. You know, nobody starts. And like, if you stop thinking about, okay, look, this is the funded account. I can make this X amount of money now. Think of like, you want to go and try to become that professional trader. You want to go for that kind of aspect instead of trying to just, I need to get the funding. And how I see it is also the psychology is very different. I'll compare it like the 4 stages. The first trading psychology of being a demo trader, then going live, then being funded. Then doing the challenge. Complete different psychology than to being funded.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of adapt yourself in a way and progress on each level.
Yeah.
Like personally, I think the challenge is psychologically actually harder.
Yeah, 100%.
Than compared to once you are funded. Because once you're funded, there's not that rush.
Yeah, no trading days, none of these
Exactly,
parameters.
yeah.
And I was just saying, like, I believe that these prop firms, one thing that has been a massive negative is that they've created this false narrative that you're only a good trader if you can make 10% every single month.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not necessary because even as part of the prop firm, the challenge, you only have to do it once.
Yeah.
That's it. After that, you should just be allowing your edge. Yes, you want an edge that will give you 10% a month because then you can pass the challenge and get funded. But after that, just let the edge do its thing. You don't need to have like, I need to make 20%. I need to make if the edge gives you 12%, 20% that month, amazing. If it gives you 5%, amazing.
How I see it is the market owes you nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Take what you're given.
Yeah,
like beggars can't be choosers. You know, like the market is there. Take what you can from it. Don't have any expectations. And also, like if you do the numbers game, okay, simple 100k funded account. If you make 3% a month, 3%, that's just under 1% a week. You're earning the average salary.
Exactly.
So, and there's funding available, 400k, 800k, 7 figures. So just play the numbers game. Honestly, there's no need to be aiming for 10-hour trades every week.
Just do the process.
Yeah,
you know, make the 2-3% a month. Once you're doing that consistently, you will naturally, not even force it. You will, just like we've been talking about everything else, relationships, friendships, the good things naturally come. As soon as you try and force anything, it gets sour. You know, it's like it becomes something else entirely, the opposite of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
When you leave, when you just focus on what needs to be done, and it naturally will grow. So you'll start with 3% consistently, then 4%, then 5%, and it will naturally just happen as a snowball and momentum builds.
Exactly. And also, like if you're doing consistently 3, 4, 5%, that alone is enough to trade full time. Like if you do 5% a month, okay, now you're making on a 100k account, okay. Now you can equally scale it up. What other business can you scale up to for example, to 7 figures within 12 months?
Yeah.
I've seen
and actually have a plan for it.
I have seen individuals who have gone from 0 to 7-figure funded in 12 months. But that's after 4 years of hard work, 3 years of hard work.
That's what people don't see though.
Yeah.
Especially with the social media, they see what they want to see. So like when they look at me, they look at you, they see this guy's a trader, you know, he's done so well. They only see the trading. They don't see any other story. They don't see any version of adversity. They don't try to see any of that. They don't want to know any of that. All they are interested in is in the trading. Yeah. And that's where a lot of this social media stuff is creating a false narrative of what it is actually like. You know, that's why these podcasts are great, because we get to actually talk about it then and try and share that it's fucking hard. Yeah, you know, it's not easy. And like trying to maintain your relationships, your friendships, your business, your trading, your health, trying to maintain all these things is fucking hard. Like I know you've been messaging me like saying like, oh man, I look up to you because you handle all these things, and I've been telling you I don't fucking handle it.
It just comes like you just kind of go through it. Right?
Yeah, you go through it. You do poorly in one area, and you recognize it, and you try and do better in that area, and then another area slips, and it's like a juggling act. But your job is just trying to, as you say, be real, being you, trying to be genuine, trying to do your best, and that's all you can do. And when you have family members, you have friends, or you have a children or spouse or partner, and they need more from you, it's just something you want to be aware of. You want to have a conversation about, of course, and try and do better at. But it's also just reinforcing, and trying to remind them also that you're not doing it because you want to do it in that sense. Like you're trying to be, you're purposely not giving them time or energy, right? It's just trying to find that balance and that level playing field of understanding that, hey, I'm struggling here. It's not like I'm having fun all the time. I do have my fun moments, right? Because I need to. That's the only way that I can actually do all this. But it isn't an easy thing. It's not hard.
It's not easy because sometimes I'll go like weeks and won't see my friends or something because there's so much going on at the time. But I think it's just accepting the fact like everybody's living their own life and just taking each day as it comes. Honestly,
it's worth it.
That's how I say.
That's solitude.
Just taking each day as it comes.
That's it. But that solitude is worth it because that's where the growth is. Right, and then you can come out of that solitude and share from the riches. Pour out from the full cup that you've just filled through that solitude, through that hardship, and making those sacrifices. But Riz, bro, we've come to the end of our time again. Again, similar to Tan's, same with the last episode, we could keep going. So I think we're definitely going to have to... I've got one idea, by the way, and I'll say it. I think I mentioned it to you already. And now that we've met Tan's as well, I think it's definitely a good addition. But we're going to be doing I'm putting together a round table. So it's a podcast, but a round table, literally a round table. And there'll be like 8 of us. And my guy Josh, who edits all these, so thank you, Josh. He's actually just got a big studio, big progression for him, and it's amazing to see. And he's going to help me put that together. So definitely I'm excited for that. Yeah. Definitely excited for that.
And I'll talk to you about that off the camera.
No worries.
We'll talk about it off the camera.
But thank you again. Obviously, your Twitter is going to be in the description. Everything.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I had such good feedback last time as well, even for yourself. Honestly, solid guy.
No, I appreciate it, man. Same to you, bro. And it's that unspoken Riz, as they say. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Catch you on the next one.